Mercedes entered the new Formula One season confident that it would meet the demands of the new regulations and win a record-extending 9th consecutive constructors' title. But that notion was dashed when the teams got their first taste of the rules during pre-season testing in Barcelona. So, why was Mercedes the hardest hit of the top teams? How will they improve? And what's up with the glowing light under their cars? The fact that Mercedes was roughly a second per lap slower in the Australian Grand Prix, despite finishing 3rd and 4th with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, demonstrates that Ferrari and Red Bull have stolen the title battle from the Silver Arrows. In fact, the difficulties have been consistent across all 3 races, with a lack of pace and setup issues in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia and Australia, most notably with Hamilton eliminated in Q1 in Jeddah. Porpoising has been blamed for Mercedes' problems both inside and outside the team, but while Ferrari faced the same issue at Albert Park, Charles Leclerc put on a show and decimated the competition. So what gives? Well, even Lewis Hamilton isn't sure. I don't understand it, and I don't think anyone does. I wish ours was the same, but it's not. Over the weekend, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff was asked the same question, to which he replied, "Our bouncing is worse in the sense that we are carrying it into the corners in high speed, so we can see where we lose performance. When we look at the overlays, Sector 1, we are very competitive. Sector 2, we are very competitive. And Sector 3, through 9 and 10 and through 12, we are losing all of our margin. It's almost like a second through a couple of corners." What Wolff is saying is that the bouncing, while having a minor effect on lap time in a straight line, isn't such a big deal other than the discomfort for Hamilton and Russell. But where Ferrari has mastered the phenomenon by controlling the bouncing into high-speed turns, effectively reattaching downforce through airflow and yielding the expected performance from the ground effect, Mercedes hasn't. Thus, their car is bouncing into braking zones and through high-speed corners, which means the ground effect aerodynamics will not generate the necessary downforce, resulting in a loss of grip and affecting speed and time. But despite the obvious problems with the W13 porpoising down the straights and corners, Wolff has warned that the team's problems are more widespread than just bouncing. Is it through the bouncing we miraculously unlock a second within the car? No, for sure not. But there are many other little improvements we can make on weight and a few others we can optimise. You know how it is with Formula One, we just need to chip away at the small gains while understanding the car. I am optimistic that eventually we are going to get there, whether that is in 2 races or 5 or by the end of the season, I don't know. But we need to stay humble. On how long it will take to correct its weaknesses, Wolff added, "My time horizon is not a weekend or a year, it's more like 10 years. I want to look back and have a competitive team, and there will be years that are more difficult. This is one." While the team principal may be thinking long-term, the drivers are not, with Lewis Hamilton particularly eager to avenge what he believes was a title robbery last season. And the Brit has a plan to push his team to perform better. He stated that he will hold virtual meetings with management and sponsor partners to see what can be done and rally the troops. There's a lot of work, and there'll be a lot of calls, naturally. I'm on a lot of Zoom calls with all the sponsors and our bosses, really trying to rally them up. We've got some improvements that we need to make, and we need everybody's support in doing so. I'm just making sure we leave no stone unturned. It's in making sure the hunger is really there and we're maximising absolutely every moment. Hamilton is well aware that porpoising is the main cause of Mercedes' woes, so he is confident that once the issue is resolved, they can get back to racing. I'm chasing the people that are in the wind tunnel, the aero guys, and just looking at absolutely every single area. There's performance to be gained in areas that we know, and we need it now. Not in 2 or 3 races. We all know as a team that we have just got to keep that encouragement and keep that energy high. However, despite being sandwiched in the Constructors' Championship between Ferrari and Red Bull, the team is well aware that they have significant pace deficits to both. But while closing the gap will be difficult, Hamilton remains optimistic that Mercedes' car has more room for improvement than a well-oiled Ferrari and Red Bull machine. I prefer to stay optimistic. There are 20 races to go. If you think realistically with the way how the sport goes in terms of everyone's development, the top teams often develop at a similar pace and similar rate. Will that be the case with this new car? Who knows? I'm really hoping we can get it in the fight soon. But with every bit of improvement we'll probably make, Ferrari and Red Bull will probably make similar sort of step. So it's not going to be easy. Yes, the gap is pretty big right now, but there is a long way to go. However, the problem that the team is facing is not easily solved, in large part because of the budget restrictions imposed on the teams, but also the fact that porpoising is quite tricky to emulate in a simulation environment, whether in the wind tunnel or in software. But Mercedes had a solution which presented itself as a dim underglow beneath Lewis Hamilton's floor in Albert Park. However, it was not a fashion statement from the 2000s, but the result of a working sensor and Mercedes' ongoing efforts to solve its porpoising problems. Mercedes believes that it can figure out what it takes to keep its 2022 F1 car from bouncing on the straights. It will be able to run it in a better setup window, resulting in an automatic step forward in performance. The problem is that Mercedes hasn't figured out what causes the porpoising yet, and that is where the sensor comes in. When activated, the sensor emits a light and measures the ride height and trajectory of the car in relation to the track, allowing it to provide answers on what is happening on straights and in corners. While such devices are not uncommon, they are rarely used during races, where the additional estimated weight is 1 or 2 kilograms has a negative impact on performance. However, Mercedes believe that the marginal performance loss is worthwhile if they want to learn what makes their car tick, or rather, not tick. Hamilton revealed that the sensor provides an extra data that Mercedes desperately needs, but he believes it is not a major revelation. I've got something on my car that makes it a little bit heavier, but it's not a huge step. Hopefully, it will enable the team to gain more information in the race. In addition to that sensor, another optical ride height sensor was spotted within the side pods on the edge of the floor, although only during some free practice runs. Mercedes has put a push for upgrades on hold in order to get answers on its porpoising, as it does not want to confuse matters by changing its car configuration just yet. That is why the team has yet to introduce a bespoke, low downforce rear wing, instead sticking with a modified version of the high downforce wing that it began the season with. With porpoising still a priority, it has concentrated its efforts on race pace, knowing that Ferrari and Red Bull are out of reach on Saturdays for the time being. But while it is conceivable that the team will find all of their gremlins sooner rather than later, the same cannot be said for catching up to the development race. And especially in the case of Ferrari, that position may already be out of reach. We have a sample size of only 3 races, but already a clear trend is emerging for this title battle. The prancing horses are back. As Charles Leclerc puts it, there is no reason for us to be on the back foot because we've done a great job. Since the last 2 years, I really see a jump in the way we've analysed every weekend, in the way we have identified also our weaknesses and how quick we were to react to try and get better in the places where we were struggling. And even the car's porpoising, which is among the most severe in the field, isn't enough to shake what appears to be an extremely stable base platform, something Mercedes is undoubtedly envious of. It looks extremely bad on the onboards, but of course, I feel it. But that doesn't disturb me too much in terms of performance. What are your thoughts on Lewis Hamilton's plans to re-energise the team? Will it provide them with the motivation to keep going? Is there any chance of the Silver Arrows catching up to Ferrari, who appear to be in a league of their own? We'd love to hear what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.